Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already did. Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
All right, now we have the next on our agenda is the agenda, to approve the agenda.
Ask if you speak up
Oh, I'm
loud,
sorry.
just because for one thing.
I thought I did, yeah.
Just make sure.
Gotcha.
You're right
Yeah,
there.
we
Gotcha,
should be,
gotcha.
I
Thank you. I'll try.
We are back. I just got confirmation from somebody on site. I got it all. Okay.
All right,
So,
so there's a couple of things, that I want to change on the agenda.
okay,
All right, first, I would like to make a motion to hire Mr. Mike Nutter in accordance with the attached contract. It will be attached, or we have a copy available, right? If anybody-
yes.
And the board has already seen that contract.
Wait, where's that going?
But we're on the approving the agenda, so we're making edits to the agenda before.
So where is that?
Yeah, but where do you want to place the hiring of Mr.
Uh,
Nutter?
Can you put it in the executive session? Is there a spot that you can go?
You can go into,
agenda? Or hire an administrator, right? Section 10.
The superintendent's pretty much in the category, all his
own.
or her own, so do you wanna just put it on after the agenda?
Yeah,
You can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where the contract will go.
Like after number 3, is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Before unfinished business, okay.
Right. So
As
that's
interim.
motion.
Wait, so we're not done with that, you need to do the whole agenda.
We're
Oh, okay,
approving
and then
the
come back,
agenda.
because it's added and then come back. And then the second change, okay, so this just came in late this afternoon. Our legal counsel has notified me this afternoon, Ohio's revised code states the superintendent must recommend a resolution to hire certified staff and administrators. Unfortunately, Mr. Christman is unable to attend tonight's board meeting. As a result, the board cannot legally vote on any certified staff hires or administrator hires. If we do, we risk these hires being void. We absolutely do not want that. It is not fair to the individuals nor the district. And we certainly do not wish to push this back to our next regular board meeting. We can add and schedule a special meeting in the very near future so we can vote on the certified staff and administrator positions listed on tonight's agenda. So this applies to agenda items 9 alpha and 9 alpha. A and B. Yes. Sorry.
I apologize.
I got it, yeah.
So what about 8?
Is 8 the, yes, so, then that one, I would recommend that we include that, it doesn't fall under this rule because, basically the ORC is specific to people with licenses. But, we can certainly add the transportation coordinator to
Let's do
this.
that.
And then, because we're not asking to wait a whole nother
No, no.
month. We already plan on doing a special meeting so we can get this moving along, but. And then that was 8 problems, that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna give us a list of all those Alpha Bravo. So we
Can
keep
I
up
get
with
that?
that.
Yeah. I think I can hook you up.
That is related
Um,
to certified. So yeah, what about the MOU, because that has new positions in it?
What do you mean?
The supplemental.
It has
MOU.
new positions in it.
Right, but we've already seen it, right? I mean, is there a reason why we have to take on?
Because,
The superintendent's not here to
not
recommend.
here to
Recommend.
Oh, because it's got certified,
right,
oh, that,
so I'll pull that too,
yeah.
that's 10A.
Can we pull just the people that it applies to? Right? So we don't have to pull the whole thing, do we?
I think we should. I think. But within the next couple of weeks, I mean, we're gonna be redoing all this anyway.
Yeah, so I reached out to Damon and he had provided me with some feedback as to why that it's really important to get going, so.
I'm sure he thinks it is, but I'm just saying that I think we should hold until we do the rest of it. That's what I think.
And just not vote on the rest of them. What, what else do we need to,
Well, it's a package, like everything's really
does it have a package?
tied to that resolution and Matt's name was, I thought was on that.
Well,
Resolution.
it just if they're certified, like a licensed person, then yeah, we can't do anything with them, but does it have to be?
But he's
a
also,
package deal?
but he's also, requesting a change in structure. So I mean, to me, that seems like it would be something that would have to come from the superintendent. It's a departmental structure and approval request. It's a resolution.
Oh. Yeah, I guess we'll pull that one then too, because his name's at the bottom for approving the whole. The whole MOU.
I'm like trying to figure out where we're at. So we're talking
10.
about 10. The MOU for 24-25 supplementals that have already been agreed to by the BEA. And the athletic director, it's not actual people, right? It's just the MOU for those new positions.
But it's a
Yes.
resolution.
Oh, yeah, so then we still be in the right?
Right.
It doesn't, that doesn't.
If
apply
there's
to
not
the
individual
person.
people that you're hiring, this is,
Yeah.
and Mr. Crispin's still superintendent of record till
Right,
June 30th, so he would sign off on the MOU.
yes, yeah, that makes, so I say keep it, and then just vote on it.
Yeah, cause it's just those they've already been agreed to by the DEA president at the time, Ms. Brewer and everyone, so
Right.
my info. I'm correct, right?
You're correct.
Okay, so I don't think it has an issue as far as, so you will have to have a superintendent make the recommendation to fill those positions.
Right, hiring, and that's
Right.
what the 4C was, and that's what got us hung up on the 9,
That's just my
Section
2
9.
cents here.
so keep it.
Except for the board, but yeah.
That's fine. I'd like to vote on it separately.
We can pull it off, it's a, out of the
Separate
consent
vote.
agenda.
Yep.
Is there anything else? Well, 8B is a transportation.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Now we're gonna do.
Being,
Mhm.
So what about all the rest? What about everything else that's under 9? Is there anything else that can we do C and D and E?
Yes, yeah, I specifically asked about 9C. Because that person's already been hired.
Okay.
This is just a salary thing.
I just want to make sure, and E as well.
Yeah, that follows the
Same.
language in your negotiated agreement with
Okay.
DEA. We're actually doing it early for Rachel or Mrs. Elam so that we don't have to do her contract twice
Okay.
or recalculate her wages or anything, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just
John-
want to make sure that we're.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and I had specifically asked John about 9C, or 10C, whatever the contract is.
So we're okay on 9C, D, E, and F, of
Mhm.
course, accepting the resignation and rescinding the contracts that were issued. And we're okay on the substitute list from the ESC, but they're doing the hire.
Yep.
So, okay,
Yep.
Okay.
All right, good deal.
all right,
So now
I
we
think I got it.
Yes.
Now we can approve the events.
Right, with the applicable changes, I'm gonna motion in a second.
And so moved.
And then the next item would be the motion for the superintendent.
Right, we just need a second.
Discussion. There's a fish by you, call roll please.
Sure, Mrs. Butler,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. B,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger,
Yes.
Mrs. Leskowitz.
Yes.
So we've approved the agenda with those changes we just discussed.
Yeah.
So then, now, we need them.
Okay. So I would like to,
But are we doing the minutes first?
well, this is still part, well, that's the next thing on.
Oh, okay. I thought we were doing the minutes and then.
Well,
It doesn't matter.
yeah,
Doesn't matter.
yeah,
I'm just trying to figure the flow.
yeah. It's different. I've never done this before.
Yep.
We can, we'll just go from here, and then we'll do the approval.
Okay.
I'd like a motion to hire Mr. Mike Miller in accordance with the attached contract. We discussed that the attached contract will be at the end of the agenda and, for anybody's review.
I'll make a motion that we hire Mr. Nutter for the, according to the contract we have slated at the end of our board docs.
It is.
I'll second the motion made.
Is there any discussion? We call the vote, please.
Sure, Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger?
Yes.
Mr. B?
Yes.
Thank you. So Mr. Nutter has offered to stay with us after the meeting to visit with him. So if anybody's interested, if you'd like to talk more, I think you guys already had the opportunity to discuss with them, but thank you very much, Mr. Nutter. We look forward to working with you. Appreciate your time coming out here, and we're excited for the next year to get to business. So thank
New
you.
business.
Yes, absolutely. It's very busy.
Welcome to the hive.
Gonna be hot.
All right, now we'll do the approval of the minutes from the work session and the regular meeting. And I have a motion to approve the minutes from May 14th and May 25th, work session and regular meeting.
Second.
Discussion. Would you take the roll, please?
Gosh, you guys are going faster than me. Okay, Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. B?
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Zero. I think we only have one that's agenda.
Okay, we don't have any unfinished business, right?
We did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have one public participation for the agenda item, Ms. Julie Reese. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Good evening. So here's my questions and comments. On the superintendent's report, the number of certified new positions and the breakdown of vacancies went up once since May, but there are 4 new hires on the agenda. Classified all but new went from 6 to 8, even though 3 hired were marked as replacements. At the May meeting, the classified, and I'm not going to give you details, but they were all different. So, and scheduled at this meeting were more. The numbers just don't reconcile in any way, shape, or form that I can see, and rarely seem to go down, measure it to the amount of folks being hired. So if you could explain the math and how that chart works, it would be appreciated. For the transportation supervisor, I don't understand why this is a 3-year contract. We need to have 1-year contracts. Also, it's for 260 days and a ton of money. So I'm just wondering what they do in the summer months and what the total with benefits and perks would be. So I did call Tina today and ask her about maybe doing some calculations there. So this is could be anywhere from 106 to 122,000 without any extra perks. That's just with the healthcare and Medicare and retirement, etc. So I'm flabbergasted. For the food service manager classified adjustments, I just wondered what the reasons were for the adjustments. Usually you guys say in the agenda, but it was not in today. For the certified, since you're not doing this today, maybe you can look at this. It looks like Brandy Anderson was already approved in May. And Colin Solis, not sure I'm saying that right, was approved in May, but at a lower step. He was approved at 70 versus the new one since 10. And I was wondering if you had a job description for the guidance counselor at the elementary level. I'm not familiar with what they do. I just wanted to educate myself. So if you have any of those, appreciate it. For the assistant principals for the Bethel High School and elementary school, again, these are 3-year contracts. So this kind of sticks the new superintendent with the old superintendent choices. Should be a 1-year contract for flexibility. And I thought we weren't even going to hire all of these administrators until a strategic plan could be updated and a need versus want was determined. In just the last 2 meetings, we have hired 4 new supervisors and an SRO. and are likely to add an athletic coordinator. Which, I don't know, we had 12 administrators / directors / supervisors, those kind of titles prior to May. My request is please stop hiring until a full understanding of what is needed can be determined. Instead of only discussing expanding the staff, how about some focus on how to pay for more classroom space? And the 4 new supervisors that I just referred to, their total salary is $318,450 with another $52,000 in retirement, Medicare, and workers' comp, plus healthcare, which at a minimum would be $34,000 and a maximum of $100,000, depending on what plan they choose. Plus any other perks awarded are not in there. So the total is $405,471,000 for these 4 folks. Nearly $500,000 added to today's and all future budgets. So I ask, please postpone the hiring of new supervisors until the strategic plan can be reviewed and updated and will show or not show that a 25% increase in supervisors is necessary. Maybe that $500,000 could go to the start of a building fund. And at a minimum, please change the contracts to 1 year for flexibility. And by the way, only 2 administrators and their secretaries that were in the laundry list of new positions that Superintendent Crispin wanted will have not been approved. So yes, only 2 out of 7 were not hired. I don't understand hiring an athletic coordinator to manage, this is from them, to manage and maintain the day-to-day operations of the department. The AD will have almost no tangible responsibilities left. And they're all the kind that have no real accountability. An AD's job is to manage the day-to-day operations. This seems to be yet another unnecessary administrative position for a school of our size, especially given that we already have 3 assistant AD supplemental positions. Those are the ones that are broken up in the fall, winter, and spring. So I'm just wondering why another position is even on top of those. And the athletic presentation slide 14 shows a 30 to 40% growth in the number of sports, the number of athletes, and the number of teams. It was 30, 35, and 40. So we hired 60% more staff, but the added staff is 60%. So we hired 60% more staff to cover a 35% increase in student participation. And on a different topic, how does the proposed open enrollment program cover the children of the staff? We have always allowed them to open enroll their children here. And also that agenda item is labeled discussion, but it seems to be included in the consent calendar. And then one last thing, this was going to be my enemy, but you know, I had it on my list, obviously, but didn't know you were working on it. But I was going to ask about the interim superintendent because I haven't heard anything or seen any advertising for community input or meet and greets. So it's kind of disappointing that this went the way it did, not one community input or anything. So I don't know. Yes, thank you for your time.
All right, treasurer's report?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see if I do this right. Let's just get one there. I always have a problem, don't I? Okay, so bank reconciliation. Happy to report that we do balance. And so was very happy that we were able to do that. We had a little bit of a hiccup in the road and it took me a little longer, but we figured it out. And that's what we have in the less column for the bank balance. Good problem to have, I guess. The bank had more money than we did on the books, so I had to fix that. But so we have some outstanding checks and an outstanding STRS payment and some outstanding checks for payroll, since we're now including all of that in your bank reconciliation. So 13 current fund balance is 13,884,000. So good number. A cash summary report, of course, is from our accounting system. And as I've explained, this is all the separate funds that we manage. I always say we, like, you know, me and my team. And that number matches this number here. So we are in balance for the month. So And then we have, I don't know if you guys want me to go through all of this, but we started a new investment for general fund. And we were able to put out of that 13 million that we had in available funds, we put 6.5 in an investment portfolio. And we did that in May, and the first year first month we had over $300,000 in interest. So pretty excited about that. So our $6.5 million investment is now, if I can sort of get this bigger, is 6.8. 6,809,000. So we did get a huge jump in interest for the month of May, and hopefully we can see that continue in June. And as you can see, we sort of have a laddered approach as far as when things are going to mature. So hopefully we will continue to get interest as we go along. So trying to maximize as much as we can, any interest and revenue that we can get in the district. As quickly as possible. So pretty proud of that. I didn't expect it to be that high, but I will take it. General fund report compared to last year, we're spending about 24.2, is that 3% more than we did last year, but we're still running in part, pretty close to where we had our 5-year. And so we're receiving 24% more in revenue, which is always a good thing. I like to report that. And then our spending is, just a little above 5%. So currently, I believe this year we will end with a $3.4 million surplus at the end of the year. So that goes back into our savings account as we move on to next year. I call it our savings account, but it's the carryover, right? Just a snapshot of our revenues. Again, the Fair School Funding Plan has been very, very nice to us, been very beneficial to us. So we like that. 1 month left to go. Interest income's up by 350,000 for the year. 309 of that came in May. State funding's up 2.5 million, and we are continuing to pace well with our forecast amounts and revenues. But overall, we're up 24.23% in revenues. As far as expenses, of course, it's salary and benefits. We do have huge purchase services, but as we look to the future, we're going to do the ESC analysis to see where most of that money is going to our ESCs. But we also have some increased purchase services due to the new building, right? New gas, new propane, new electricity, and things of that nature. Now that we have 1 year on the books, we can look at that and see where we can go. Payroll and benefits combined are coming in just under 1.5 million over last year. But still under our forecasted amounts. So when you look at our equipment or capital outlay equipment purchases, it looks really low because we purchased 2 school buses last year and we haven't done that this year. So we are looking to purchase 1 or 2 for next year and sort of keep that on an ongoing basis to keep our fleet in good standing. And instructional services under purchase services are up nearly 400,000 for the year. So, but overall, we have 158 days of cash, which board policy requires 60. So we're doing really good. And we have 245,000 in cash available in the construction account. So that's also a good thing. One of the things I'm still looking into, Mrs. Kiplinger, I know we've had this discussion on the 070, is that 10-year or rolling year kind of thing? And I'm thinking it may be, so I'm trying to get some clarification. So we don't have to start a new one because it's just whenever you receipt and purchase. So it's a rolling 10 years. So I'm trying to get clarification on that to see if we can continue. And if the board decides that we need to put a little more money away in that for new facilities as we continue to grow, we can make that decision. So hopefully I'll have that to report back to the board shortly. Oh. Last but not least, it's been in nows. So far, we're running at 134 for the year. We've even had a few in June already. So May was not a good month for us because we had 15, but as we start to finish up the year, hopefully those will be cleaned up, and we're gonna start this new slate in July. And as we all learn that you must have a PO in place before you make a purchase. Don't bring me an invoice without a purchase order, per board policy, as we all strive to get better in that area, so,
And most of that all just training, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so. We have the detailed check register for all the checks that we cut in May, including payroll, so. Any questions on that? That I haven't answered already? Okay. I hate to sort of, because there's like 46 pages, right? And most of it is payroll. So if anybody has any questions about anything on here, I can't remember every check, but I will certainly research it and get back to you as soon as I possibly can. So we have an amended certificate. So we had to make a few budget adjustments as we end the year. So I need your approval on the new revenue projections and the new budget or appropriation recap. And the outcome shows that we are certainly not exceeding our budget. So we have enough revenues to catch each of our funds. So this is for May. When I closed the books for May, we had some extra grants come in. We had some increases that needed to be made on some of the funds. So I need your approval to send this off to the Miami County Auditor with those changes that we needed to make. I'm sort of laughing because Mr. Smith just sent me a text saying he's the only department that doesn't have any then and nows. For the last few months, so he wants to be recognized and rightfully so. His department has done a great job, so, final appropriations for fiscal year 24. Cut off POs on May 9th, but we have still had some stragglers that needed some things cleaned up. So learning curve for our new administrative team, but they're doing well. So this is our final appropriations for June. Hopefully I don't have to make any more changes and have to give you one in July. Hopefully when we close the books, we'll still be okay. And then temporary appropriations for fiscal year 25. And Ms. Kiplinger had asked where we were for fiscal year 24, and I'm glad you did because I was able to make some adjustments. And so we just need to be able to continue business in July and August until I get your permanent appropriations in September. I always say, I like the word permanent because we always do an amended almost every month, right? But they're called permanent appropriations. So September and October is when all my teachers will be back and hopefully ready to go, and we'll get us our student activity budgets, and our advisors will have their kids picked out and ready to go with that. So that's why we don't have to do permanent until September, but I need your permission to at least keep paying people over the summer. They would appreciate that as well as me. So this is a new one, which is why it's in green. As I was working through permanent, I noticed that we had some student activity funds that ending the year in the red, which we don't want. So asking the board to approve a transfer from the principal's accounts, the principal funds, to those student activities, like we have the high school yearbook that ended in the red by 4,400, and then the power of the pen for middle school that ended in the red at 565. So yeah, I don't want general fund to pay that, so it's coming out of the principal's fund until we can make those programs a little more viable, so that we just break even every year. So need your approval to make that transfer, and then that's all I have. Any questions you may have?
I just have a question about your projection for fiscal year 25 for the 018 at 60,000. Now is that full 60,000 divided amongst all the funds? What What percentage of that goes to
Yeah,
the principal's funds?
well, it's,
Is there a
Yeah.
formula?
there's not really a formula for that total amount, but you know, like for the elementary, they do a lot of field trips.
Mhm.
And so those are in and out, right? They take the
Right,
money and then they go to the field trips and that all runs through their O18, but I have to have a budget set up for
Yeah.
them. So their budget's gonna be a little higher than the middle school and the high school because of that, starting out.
But that's all building, that's what goes to
Yeah,
the buildings.
that's all their money.
Okay.
They have enough cash to cover it and, yeah.
And they've submitted their budgets.
They're working on it, yeah. I think I have everybody's except the middle school, Mr. Fugate, if you're listening. Just a reminder, but this is their first year putting their budgets together. Usually I've done it for them, but we wanted their input. So, they're working on it. So I know the elementary has provided them to me and the high school, Barrett's like, are they, Mr. Schwab? So we're gonna look at them and finalize them and get them all ready to go by July.
Super, appreciate it, thank you.
No problem.
Right, so can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda for the treasurer's report?
Is that a motion?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Would you call, roll please?
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. B,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger,
Yes.
Mrs. Leskowitz.
Yes.
Mrs. Butler,
Yes.
thank you. Now I can try, but I'm not Mr. Crispin, so I don't know compared to last month, because I didn't look at last month, I'm moving ahead, but it's. When he does the breakdown of vacancies, it's how these vacancies are created, right? So he said we had 6 resignations in certified, 3 that are due to retirements. Which would be, of course, yeah, he's one of those, right? That happened in May, and then we have 16 new positions on the certified side. That could be administrative as well as teaching, right? And 7 that were a result of transfers, like we had all those new reading specialist jobs. So people voluntarily transferred, you know, to other positions, so. Yeah, but I will have to look at May and I'll put that under unfinished business and I'll speak to Mr. Crispin and see what we can do. Same thing for classifying, but I will definitely take a look, but yeah, that's his tracker, so. You have to look for you. So, then he does his enrollment for next.
Okay.
Alright.
The next one, we have recommendations of classified personnel. Consent agenda, right?
Yep.
Okay, so any questions, comments, concerns on section 8?
And this is just A, C, D, and E, or, yeah, it's not B.
Right,
Right.
Right. Yes.
no, bravo.
You guys are catching on.
So I guess I'm curious if we, and I know it's not on this agenda, but if we do hire our transportation person, do we still need onboarding instructors? I mean, would that not be something that, and I don't know, I'm not. Would that not be something that a transportation director would do?
I don't have an answer to that. I know that I've seen it done both ways. I mean, in some districts, they have an OBI and the transportation supervisor. Because you need at least 1 or 2 if you're hiring a lot, and you want to get as many trained as you can, so you have subs and all of that. So, but that would really be something the transportation supervisor would have to answer to the superintendent.
I was just curious.
I think it may be an option that you don't need 2, you may just need 1, but I don't know that for a fact.
And we're only paying them as needed.
As they
So
work,
it's-
right,
it's
so if
not-
they're not training
right,
anybody, they're
there's
not,
nothing.
yeah, there's nothing to pay.
There's nothing to lose by
Having
having
to,
them approve, and not need some.
correct. It's always good to have too many. we need help.
So are our special education aides, are those one-on-one because one-on-ones? Because I also see classroom aides.
Yes,
So there's
my understanding is special education aides are gonna be
Those are
either
the
one-on-one or maybe one-on-two, right? They may have two students in the same class.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else in that section? Anybody? All right, we're gonna move over, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, I just was, Mr. Jones, he's still currently driving, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes,
I know Miss Rhodes is retired, I just couldn't
Right.
remember Mr. Jones retired or still driving.
that's a good question. He may be retiring, but I'm not sure. I have to look. I know Gail is, but
Yeah.
I have to look.
I just
Yeah.
couldn't remember.
Yeah, he's still driving at once, yeah.
But that happens outside of their normal workout.
Yes, correct. Mhm.
Thank you.
Anything else in that section? All right, we're gonna skip over B because we move that to our next special meeting. Then we've got the employee classified personnel, summer worker. Any question there? Comments, concerns? Contract adjustments?
When we redid the classified salary schedule, we have. Yeah, which was severely overdue in my opinion, right? So when we did that, Hope and Danielle have lots of years' experience with us, right? Step 8, step 10, I think was one, step 15 was the other. But not in a supervisory capacity, right? As you know, working in the kitchen, being the cashier, doing. So Mr. Crispin looked at their history and said, okay, we give them half a year experience for everything they did in the kitchen. You know, this is where they would be, step 8 and step 5, right? And if they're gonna be in a supervisory kind of role, they have taken on a lot of additional duties, right? And they're, where they were placed on the schedule. I wasn't involved in any of the meetings, but this is my understanding, is where they were placed on the schedule. Originally, they would have been making less than the other kitchen staff. So in order to make that right, since they are taking on a lot of additional responsibility, this was negotiated with them, so. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you.
Anything else in that section? Approval of, approval of the consent agenda for classified personnel. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda for classified personnel?
Minus B,
Yeah, minus me.
Is there a second?
Also,
Any discussion? Would you call roll, please?
Mrs. Leskowitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Butler,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue,
yes,
Mr. Beef,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger.
yes.
So we have. So this one. Is, one of the ones we pulled off.
Yeah.
Right, A and B.
No problem.
Well, girl, okay.
See through on.
That's see through I, yeah.
And then we have the contract adjustment. Is there any discussion on that? Anybody want to discuss that? So I brought it up last time, so on the pay scale, the pay scale goes from, I want to say, 80,000 to 95. And so she did have the experience as a previous, principal, associate, or assistant principal, sorry. But this is her first year in the actual.
Can you just something,
Oh, sorry, thank you.
see,
We're going down to C, yeah. My apologies. I'm gonna bring up the. Stacy. Keep me on my toes.
So the elementary principal ranges, so she has a master's plus 30, so her range is 85,750 to the 100,000. So with, she had, and she's been here the 1 year, so she'd already come in a little bit higher on the pay scale. She's at 91. So she was already at.
No, that's with the 3%
Oh.
raise for next year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
am I looking at the wrong one?
no, but the administrators got the 3% raise for
Gotcha.
24, 25. So her first contract was approved at 91,087. But once Mr. Crispin got the information back and looked at it, he recommended she go up to 92,250.
Because of the new one, so she is, yeah, so I did read that wrong. So she is getting bumped up just to be a little bit past the entry level
Correct.
as it is, okay. Question, I think I was looking, must have been on, I think it was the last time, I didn't realize that she had the plus 30,
Yes.
I think that was my,
Mhm.
my problem, okay.
Because I didn't realize that either until I had a talk with Mrs. Hogan, we sat and talked about it for a little bit, just informally, so.
Yeah, all right, anyone else have anything to say on that one?
Okay.
All right, advancement of salary schedule?
Yeah.
With that one, any questions?
So when will that be effective for her?
She's still on her stretch pay for this year, so new, salary, contract salary starts second pay in August. So, yeah, it'll be August 25th, because we're going to the 24 pays, it'll be the 10th and the 25th, so it'll be August 25th.
The supplementals? Next section? Any comments, questions, concerns? Right, the resignation. Approving the following resignation for Mr.
I'm behind again.
Sorry.
No, I'm falling behind, you're going faster than me, but that's okay, I'll keep us going.
Rescinding these two contracts? Comments, questions, concerns? The substitute list from ESE? Comments, questions, concerns? All right, and then, so can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 9 alpha and 9 bravo, correct?
Oh,
I'll second. Discussion? We call vote please?
Sure, Mrs. Leskowitz,
Yes?
Mrs. Butler,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes,
Mr. V,
yes,
Mrs. Kiplinger.
Yes.
All right, now we got the recommendations for business. Is there any comments, questions, concerns, and is A the one you asked to move separately?
Mhm.
So I guess we'll just do this one, right? And then we'll need a separate motion,
Yes,
because it's pulled out of the consent agenda. So since we're here, we'll just do this one. So can I get a motion to approve the MOU for additional supplemental contracts with the Bethel Education Association, review and approve department structure information requests?
Well, we have to put it on the consent.
We need a motion, a second, then discuss, then vote. So right now I'm asking for a motion.
to vote on separate, to put it on the consent calendar, right? Put it on-
unless you're taking it off.
Take it off.
No, we took it off,
We
right?
took it off.
Right, so it's a separate item, yes, so it's just as if it was another item on the
Right, we
agenda.
just have to. It's a motion to put it on the consent agenda to this for discussion.
We took it off the consent agenda, it's its own item.
Right.
So we have to have a motion to approve the MOU, then we have to have a second to approve the MOU. Then we discuss it, and then we vote. And then we can go back to the rest of the, yes. And then we can go back to the rest of the consent agenda, since it's the first one on the list, so we're just gonna knock it out. We can do it wherever we want. I'm afraid I forget to go back.
It's so simple, I know.
Yes. So. Could I get a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you. Is there a second? Who was that? Andy?
To put it on the consent calendar, I'll second that.
Mm,
No, to put it. No.
No,
we're not-
it's
It's its
own-
own,
its own
its own
thing.
entity.
Yes. It's its own item, as if it said item 10.1 alpha,
Yeah.
Why would-
or 9.5, or
Yeah.
it's just not part of the
Or
consent
if it
agenda
was just
anymore.
10 alone.
Right.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm sorry, it's not part of the consent calendar, I'm just saying that wrong, but.
Yes,
You second
yes.
it.
So I just want to make sure everybody's on board. So is that a second?
Just like anybody else do it.
We got it.
Yeah. So that was a second. You have a second?
Yeah, are you okay with being the second? Donahue? Okay, I mean, I don't wanna, I just wanna make sure we got the minutes right, okay.
And now, the discussion, now we can discuss, Does anybody wish to discuss?
I mean, I have a lot of questions about this. I do feel like it's a lot. I think it's too much. I think that we need to go back and honor our 2-year. You know, that we have a sport for 2 years before we make it a paid supplemental. I think that if we have an athletic coordinator, then where did the site manager go? I mean, it's a lot of layers and it's a lot of people. And I just don't see that the numbers really support that. I appreciate the fact that we're growing in our athletics, but I think that this is a lot. I think it's too much. Too much too fast, and so that's where I'm.
Any other discussion?
You know, I think the athletic coordinator position is really an outstanding idea. After talking with Damon, because I needed clarification. He wants this individual to be a teacher specifically, so this individual can focus on our athletes and their academics to make sure that they're staying eligible, to make sure that they're above eligibility, to keep track of them, to make sure they're not going to need credit recovery, and to really focus on making sure our athletes are excelling as students as well as athletes. And if that's the primary function of this position, I am all for it, because kids need athletics because it teaches them so much. And I think that this is money well spent. It's gonna be a TOSA position, and it's gonna be broken down to, I think, reasonable supplementals. It's gonna be divided up like site manager. And I just really think it's a great idea.
The site manager is not anywhere on that structure. As far as like what the pay would be for that, how that's handled.
Yeah, I don't-
Who that, you know.
I
what-
don't think it's ever been a huge, I could be wrong. I mean, I've been away from that office for 3 years and I can't remember, but I don't think it was an enormous supplemental. And they specifically help set things up for the events. And because we have 2 facilities now, and we have, you know, volleyball in the gym, and we have something at the stadium. It's just a lot of ground to cover. You need feet on the ground, and our weight room is over here and our stadium's over here, and there's just a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on to keep things going, keeping track of equipment, which is the coach's job, but also the site manager kind of keeps, you know, an eye on things. So it doesn't.
It's really.
At first I was a little wary, but as I looked at it, it really did make sense.
Sounds like a lot of fluff. I mean, what the descriptions in here, I mean, they don't really say much.
Yeah, I mean,
It's light on details.
generally job descriptions are more of an overall view of what the position will be, but I don't know. We want to get more sports. We want to encourage kids to do these things. They spend so much time on their media nowadays, so much time parked inside. I mean, physically, mentally, they're suffering because they don't get out and run around and do things. And I think that it's really important to put the resources and efforts behind this.
I agree, and I'm a one for sports, and a lot of kids don't get the academics, and I'm not saying academics is important, I still like them to learn how to read, write, and do arithmetic and stuff, but for those that do struggle and sports motivates them to do better in academics. And they've been asking for the wrestling for many years, they've been asking for the bowling, they have a good momentum going where they're adding more and more of these different sports to the menu, and because let's face it, so like basketball, only 5 kids can play at a time, and then when they have 10 more sitting on the bench out of a class of 150, 130, I mean, that's not a big percentage of kids who can just do that one sport, so we can offer other things, and I do know that they do all kinds of coordinating, because it's like right now, they're all doing their open field for soccer, because nobody can practice, so football can't practice, and track, everybody can't practice, but they can condition. And so that takes coordination, because right now when, like, my daughter will go to open field, but they have to wait for the boys to get out the field, so they have to go and do their different conditioning, so they can get time on the turf and stuff like that, so. I'm just a huge proponent of anything, we can, like you said, get these kids off tablets and electronics and get them outside doing something. Any other discussion?
I was just gonna say, I did have some additional research that I did, and also, I did want to thank Damon for, I think, Regan contacted him last night for me. There were some questions that I had, so I do thank, both of them for, taking the time to address those, and then, you know, as you mull things over, you know, I had some more, and, I kind of agree, there's just so much lumped into this, I really wish it was broken out more. And I do agree that, you know, we have the, I guess we'll call it the practice year of that particular sport to see the turnout and everything. I can't really put my finger on it, but there's just something not setting right about everything. And, I'm struggling with like the softball and the baseball piece of that for junior high. It's great that there's other teams, but if you've been playing in the summer, there's already other teams that you can play. And I feel like this is an opportunity that will be missed, because once you start having teams in the school at the levels, you know, only 3 people are allowed to participate in an off-season team together. So if the goal is to start to build those teams together and continue to bring them forward, you know, that's already been going on in the like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, not 9th grade, but 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teams. And you can actually gather 9 people together that can move forward for Bethel together, as opposed to, once those teams are in place at the junior high level, you only have 3 on a team. Well, a baseball team, you know, holds those 9 people, then you only get a third of them playing together. So I'm not sure that's in the best interest for the kids in the summer, because then that might be 6 kids that aren't playing in the summer, or they're split between different teams. Although there is value that you can learn from being with other people, that part of it is just a little bit uncertain for me. I also think that taking that opportunity away from the kids to get out and play during the summer, because now they're tied to maybe that junior high spring sport. It's good while they're in sports, but I don't want to lose that opportunity that they have. I know the other sports are already like that, but we didn't bring that one forward to have a like practice test year. So still, so a little bit uncertain about that. I know supplementals are important for the teachers. I totally get that. I just am not a fan of so many supplementals. I think before you know it, if this continues like at this pace, we're going to find ourselves in the position of Tip City. And then what sports do you cut out, or who do you cut out? So that's where I'm falling right now. I'm struggling a little bit with that. I love sports, my family's been in sports for years. So I'm just struggling a little bit with all that. And for the fact that it was all together makes it a little bit more cumbersome to deal with. But I do appreciate everybody answering the questions that I did have.
And I think that as the athletic director, the dean is coming to us to ask for this, because he's trying to grow the program. He's trying to do good for the school, for the students, all of that. And he did answer a very detailed questions. I did have a couple questions, and everything was very logical, and it was very detail oriented, and it was very with a strategic vision behind it. And so I am confident that supporting him is a good thing for the students.
Damon, who's on vacation, and you shouldn't be, I already talked to him, you shouldn't be answering his text messages at 9:30 at night. But I said, if the middle school students plan a school team, are they allowed to all be on one team together in the summer? Yes, absolutely. It's about building our high school program. Was his answer.
And they even started that with the Wee Stingers. So the Wee Stingers is just a club. It's not really associated to the school, but it still wears the Bethel Bees and stuff like that. And they've always tried to grow their own. They've always tried to mirror up with the high school coaches and have the high school coaches come down to the Wee Stingers, which starts in second grade, goes up to sixth grade, because they're starting to teach them the plans and the play, not for the plays. And they're trying to do that. So by starting them down at that level, they're growing them into a sports program. And then they're still welcome to play rec. I mean, there's plenty of girls that play softball for Bethel that are also on the Tip City League. And then my daughter plays for the Tip City League, but they go to Greenville and.
I agree, and not to argue that point, but how's that any different than the junior high volleyball where only 3 girls from Bethel can be on one off-season team? How's that any different?
Off-season team, I guess I don't understand how that works. So
Well,
they play volleyball for
In the
Bethel.
fall,
Mhm.
right, and in the winter, they have all these leagues in Urbana, I mean, up in Versailles, all over, especially the North County. Only 3 girls from a team like Bethel or Tip City can be on a team together, so it's not the whole team, so,
Is that like an OSHA rule?
yeah, it's,
Oh, but we can't fix that. I mean, we could.
no, that's what I'm saying, I'm just asking.
So, I mean,
He says it's literally how every sport works in the summertime, not just baseball and softball. We wanna keep our kids at Bethel and not send them away. So even if they play on a school team during the year, during the season, then in the summertime, they can still all be on a team in the summertime. They're not in season. I think that 3 to a team only. I haven't read OSHA in a while, only counts if you're in season.
And that makes sense because that's one of the questions when they have to register to play the sport. And I think it keeps them away from being on a select team, getting select coaching and participating in all the, what the select brings to them, but then also trying to play for the school. And I believe that's what, and he can just, if he's
I mean,
listen, he
the
can clarify.
paid and volunteer staff positions between 23-24 was 67, and he's projecting 90 to 100. That's a lot, that's in 1 year. I mean,
You're
that's,
saying that the coaching? for
yeah, paid and volunteer positions, 23-24 was 67. He's projecting 90 to 100 for 24-25. That's a huge jump.
the- Mhm.
It's a lot.
I think we're just going to continue to grow.
But you know, how many students are we truly affecting? How many unique students are we truly affecting? Versus, you know, overall student. It's that, I think that's a valid question, you know? Because we will have those students that will go out for a sport every season. So, you know, they might be triple or quadruple count, you know? So my question would be, you know, what is our unique student touch point? Versus just overall student.
Any other discussion? Recall poll for a vote?
Mrs. Leskowitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Butler,
Yes,
Mrs. Donahue,
I'm gonna abstain.
okay, Mr. B,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplanger.
No.
Very good too. Okay. Right, so now we're going back onto the consent agenda. So the proposed overnight extended student trips is the football camp for the team bonding. Any discussion, comments, questions, concerns? Then we've got the Ohio School Plan Renewal Proposal.
Yes, so I tried to get multiple, recommendations and coverage, but nobody can beat the Ohio School Plan. I provided, I think, an email of another company that came back to us and said they can't beat that proposal. I will say that there's a significant increase, from last year, primarily because we added a whole new building, right? but we also had some significant claims. And so for every dollar in premium that they collected, they paid $1.67 out. So for every $100, it was $167 that was paid out, kind of deal. So we, our loss ratio went way up. To be frank, if we weren't part of the Ohio school plan, I think that we would have been canceled. So, yeah, so we've had a lot of claims, a lot of accidents, a lot of things that need to be we're reined in if we can. So, but some of these things we can't help, but so I'm asking for the board's approval because we definitely need liability insurance and we certainly want to keep that in place effective July 1.
Ready? And then the board policies from the fall review. Any comments, questions, concerns there? The rescinding of the board policy 5113, which is the open enrollment. Any discussion there, or comments, questions, concerns there?
So we need to replace that.
Yeah, so the way Neola does it, that there's three separate options,
Right.
because the ORC says that you have to have one of these three
Right.
checked. So right now, we have it as an open enrollment, I think it's option 3. What we're asking for is to go to option 1, where there is no open enrollment, that we will not allow open enrollment. It won't affect any of the teachers because they have that, or any of, well, yeah, the teachers basically, because there's a negotiated agreement that has it outlined in there. So right now, we have 11 students of staff that attends Bethel, but that's something completely different than this. And this was reviewed by John, so he said we're clear there. And then at one time, there was some kids grandfathered in when Mr. Firks was here.
Yeah, but they've all
those-
moved on,
They've all moved on.
either
So-
graduated or moved
So
to
we have
different districts.
zero open enrollment.
Zero
except
open
for the
enrollment other than
teacher
staff
or staff.
employees,
Yeah.
staff
And they're
students.
covered under the negotiated agreement, and this would not affect or negate allowing them to either keep their kids in school or as they get hired on to bring their kids with.
Yeah, it was something that's in the negotiated agreement for teachers and all staff, pretty much, we don't, yeah, we
Right.
sort of like if anybody wants, it's employee or employee, it's the school.
And I got that clarified through Mr. Crispin, and I also got it clarified through John, and John reviewed it because at one point Neola said that we had to rewrite our own option because it would contradict it with option 1, but knowing now that we don't have anybody here open enrolled other than the students, or other than the staff kids, then it's not a problem. So we can legally and be okay selecting option 1 on this policy that says that we will not allow open enrollment anymore.
So we're not really rescinding the policy, then we're just changing.
We have to rescind option 3 and add option 1. It was like a 2-step process. That's how Neola explained it, and then that's what Mr. Crispin said. Or if you want to say edit, modify, change, whatever it is, we're going from open enrollment to
Right,
no.
from 2 to 1.
Yes,
Yeah.
3.
or
right,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, I
From
think it-
allowing it to not allowing it. Alright, the proposal for the blacktop gravel driveway between the high school and elementary. And if anyone's driven that, you will appreciate when it gets blacktop. Cause that is pretty rough. Is there?
And we did take bids, and that is the lowest bid that we've received for, well, that's a correction. But it's not the lowest bid, but it is the lowest bid with the inches of asphalt than everything that we needed. The lowest bid was like 2 inches less in asphalt. So,
And you said Mr. Bird had, this was his recommendation.
yes, this
based
is,
off of-
this is Mr. Bird's recommendation. We were blacktop at 109,988, so.
Any comments, questions, concerns there? All right, payment in lieu of transportation.
I did go back and check the students, so I think I got them all corrected. We did have one that graduated, so I took him off the list, so thank you for that.
I think
But
you
yeah.
still have a typo. Number
Yes,
2.
the Dix, yeah, I have to change it from Z to X, so it's an X. I apologize, number 2 should be DIX, so, but yes, and we've received most of the paperwork back that verifies that they did indeed attend the other schools, so. Yeah.
Thank you. The side contract, what's got added?
I just added that night in only because I know Miss Harding has been working really hard to get a contract to us. It just came yesterday. I reviewed it last night and put it on the agenda this afternoon, as soon as I was done with my morning meetings. So we want to get that back to them, so we're on their schedule and ready to go August 12th. So I apologize for the late notice, but it exceeds my signing authority. It's 44,000. So I wanted to get your approval as quickly as we could, so we could provide that training for our teachers who will be here August 12th. It'll
Right.
come before we know it, so.
Cause that'd be the professional development that's gonna happen before school starts.
Yes,
right?
because we have that week of PD, yeah, it, I know that Miss Harding is working on some things with her teachers and the ELL staff to get that training done, yeah.
Then donations?
We had quite a few,
That was so generous, so many generous people.
and I had to add 3 more, those are the ones in green, so.
Nice.
Yeah, very.
Do we have any, overall cost of this trip that they're gonna
The
take?
golf outing, I don't,
The
the football outing,
uh-huh.
right, yes, sorry. I don't yet, but I'm working with Mr. Smith. I think we have. I can get that to you.
And I think they were doing the busing, and then I think the kids had to pay $100
Mhm.
each.
Well, yeah, there's gonna, I mean, these are some really generous individuals in the community that
Yes.
helped. That have helped do, I mean, really generous.
I mean, to say, sort of applaud Mr. Smith and his team's efforts to get those,
Yeah.
donations for the program, so, yeah.
Mhm. Now, will he go back and thank all these people? Does he take care of that to go back and work?
I'm not sure. I know that Mr. Crispin used to send thank you notes, but we can certainly make sure.
Either-
Yeah,
somebody-
we will make sure somebody sends thank yous, yes.
Might be nice to have the young men who attend sign a card.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
it is,
Or
yes.
write notes. What a great,
Yeah.
what a great
Yes.
lesson to learn. Yeah.
Thank you notes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure AI can do something like that.
Handwritten.
Get transcribed from AI.
Written.
So,
The fencing, so there was an issue with the material, right? It was the exact same thing, but it's cheaper.
right, when we had initially approved this, I think last month, and it was Allied for 38.5, but when we compared apples to apples and did a breakdown of their proposal, Superior actually came in less, so I'm asking the board to make that adjustment.
Whew, all right, so we've got to the point, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda for business items minus the first one, which was A, what was the number? It was just, 10A, right? Because 10A was the MOU, and we did that separate, so basically
Oh, yeah, be
approving B through Bravo, through. the-
Bravo.
Yeah.
Okay.
through Kilo.
That's right, proud of you.
You can learn something every day.
Yes, all right.
Need a motion.
Yeah, I make a motion.
And second,
Second.
discussion? We call a roll, please.
Mrs. Butler,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. B,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger,
Yes.
Mrs. Leskowitz.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, last month we passed a resolution to ask the Department of Taxation for estimates on what our income tax would collect at 0.75%, which is 0.75%, which is just a straight renewal, not for continuing, but for a period not to exceed 5 years. So this is the second resolution to proceed and place that on the November 24th ballot. And it is with the estimate from this State of Ohio Tax Department of Taxation. It is now worth $2,370,000 per year. And so all this wonderful legal ease. But here is the language that will be on the ballot. Shall an annual income tax of 0.75%, 0.75 on the earned income of individuals residing in the district be imposed by the Bethel Local School District to renew an income tax expiring at the end of 2025. So collections are ongoing until December 31st, 2025. For a 5-year period of time, beginning January 1st, 2026, for the purpose of current operating expenses. And so you vote yes or no, for or against. So that's the language that we're proposing. If the board passes this evening, I will take this, not tomorrow because it's a holiday, but Thursday, we'll take this resolution, or Friday, this resolution along with the first resolution and the estimate from the Department of Taxation down to the Board of Elections, and get that placed on the ballot. Since it is a presidential election, there won't be any additional cost to the district, so.
And, so can I get a motion to approve the resolution to proceed with the November 24 ballot? Second,
I'll second. I'll second.
discussion, Melissa? And we take roll, please?
Okay, Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes?
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. B?
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger?
Yes.
All right, now we get our BA update. The first one of the year, right?
You're just not a listener anymore, Campbell.
I know,
Now you get to be a talker
I just
too.
want to thank you for this opportunity. It has been kind of slow because we have not been in district. Been working with some admin on clearing up some issues, and it's been great because we've done that without, fuss and discuss. Also, we're looking forward to what's coming up. Hopefully, we're looking forward to a great year. There's not much more to say, but we do appreciate you guys thinking of the kids because we do need those extra opportunities for them. And knowing the backgrounds of everything, it's much needed, so we greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell.
And then the board docs proposal?
Yeah, I placed this on the agenda for discussion as we look forward to, more committees, board appointed committees, all of that. I think one of the things that sort of happens is we get lost on minutes and who's doing what and, things of that nature. So we didn't go to board docs, or what I would call pro is their next step up, because it was like $10,000 to $18,000. And I thought for our district, that wasn't necessary. But they have a new level, which is this LT plus. I did provide for anybody that wants to take a look at it. There I go. There it is. Their little flyer that shows how that works. But if we're going to have 4 to 5, let's say, board appointed committees. So like the facilities committee, we can put the agenda out here and it can be advertised like the board agendas, and we can take minutes and have that available. So that there's not somebody trying to create one with a new template or so it can all sort of follow the same outline of what we've been doing with our board agendas. And so if you want to have a policy committee, somebody can get access to that and we can create, whoever's going to be the secretary, they can have one-to-one training. We can say that these people have access to this and not this, so there's more, ability to restrict who has access to what, right? So, but I think it's better for us to have all that information housed in one place, right? And so we can also make it available for people to see publicly like we do our board agenda. And so I talked to, board docs, and so to see what would be the best option for us, and he's highlighted here option 2, which is board docs, LT plus document management system at $5,800 per year. We currently pay 27, right? So it's an increase of 3,100. I would advocate that because I think it's best to have everything in one place, and it's easier for us to have the same agenda and ease of use for everybody. But if just something for you to think about, not make a decision on. But I think Board Docs Pro is 10,600, and then their Board Doc Pro Plus document management system is 18,000. It has all the bells and whistles, but I just don't think it's cost effective for our needs. and in discussing it with their rep, they agreed. We're currently at the 2,700 per year, right? But this gives us some more features. We can't have a committee meeting on here. I know that in the past, we wanted to do that and couldn't. But we can if we upgrade to the 5,800, and if the board is thinking of more than 2 committees, that is what I would suggest in order to keep that all straight and make it available for the public and transparent. So something to think about, and we can certainly put it on the agenda to vote on next month, or, you know, when we talk to Mr. Nutter as he comes in as the interim superintendent and move forward and, but just something for you guys to think about as we move forward with committees and keeping all that straight.
And you like board docs? I mean, there would be no other, if we're gonna make this upgrade, there's no other program that you wanna research or switch over to, that this would be it. Okay.
No, I mean, I think board docs, there, for the price, because this is supported by OSBA, it's recommended by the Ohio School Boards Association, so there's a discount for members, which we are, right? So for what it does, it's sort of made for us, right? It's made for councils and schools and, I just haven't found anything yet that I like as much as board docs, and I've done it a couple different ways, but we can certainly keep researching and see if there's anything else that the board wants to go that route. I understand that as well, but I wouldn't recommend it, the pro or the bigger packages. I just don't think that's cost effective for us, but if we are gonna have, board appointed committees, I think it would make that transition a lot easier. So just something for you to think about.
If it's not broken, fix it. So, I was just curious if there is other stuff, if you're gonna make the upgrade, there's other programs. out there. All right, and then we've got the facility committee.
Just real quick, based on the time, we had our first initial re-kickoff meeting almost, tonight at 6:30. And we did go through some of the, for the folks that were in attendance here, that were, previous members, and we had one potential new member join us who's somebody who wanted to be here as well. We went through, some of the charter, the purpose, the structure that will follow the sunshine law, some of that committee type activity that we'll be following as we move forward. We know that we may create some subcommittees along the way. We're gonna have our next meeting in July, potentially ahead of the workshop meeting. That's where we left it at the end of the half hour tonight. And then we will, the other 2 things, just wanted to report that yesterday was the, sort of the last official, meeting of the old facilities, construction committee with Garmin Miller. Mr. Crispin was there, Tina was there. And, most items were closed on that. There will be the 11th month of occupancy walkthrough taking place officially on June 24th. And that will be close to wrapping everything up. Punch list looks like it's in pretty good shape. And then there was just another item with the gymnasium doors. And they know what they need to do to adjust it. And that's in the board docs notes if you want to read that. And I think that's probably a good summary for today.
I'm sorry if I missed this. Did you guys talk about soliciting volunteers? Oh, you're gonna, because there was 3 that came to the board, 2 different board members that wanted to volunteer to be on the facilities committee, but there's some discussion about maybe, I don't want to say interview, but there's some concern that the committee wanted to find certain people or just make sure that they were a good fit.
Right, we're looking for parents, any like seniors in high school, community members, anybody who's interested. And so as far as soliciting, please call or email a board member if you're interested. And I think we can come up with a way to post it on the website. I know that was done previously to fill a position slot that became open when somebody determined they were no longer interested in being on panel, so. We did name some of the other candidates who are interested in, the, sports or athletic type activity, so. Yeah.
So what's the next, so they've identified that they wanna volunteer, and they brought it to the board members. Now, so you guys reach out to them and then, like, or because the board president will appoint them. But,
Yeah, the board has to, this board
yes,
needs to vote on it.
The facilities
Right.
committees give recommendations.
Yes.
but I believe the board president actually appoints them. I don't think it's,
They get recommended, but they get recommended from the facilities committee. And then to the board, and then you appoint them. Is that right?
Yes, but no voting, you guys will not.
Yeah, we
We don't, we don't, that's right.
right,
Okay. We'll vote.
so we'll do that sort of.
We'll vote on I'm done voting, a lot of yes.
Liaison reports, the OSBA legislative liaison,
Just to keep things short and sweet, several things have been presented, that doesn't look like anything has been really passed, there was the news of the Title IX being not upheld, so that will, hopefully be a good thing. That's all I got.
the CTC.
Who got this one?
Yep.
They don't do anything this summer. They do, they go back early. So you don't have anything then, Natalie, do you?
Yeah, there's a couple things. August 5th at the Miami Valley Career Tech Center, 3:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. is scheduled pickup and open house. And then August 12th will be the first day of school for juniors that attend CTC. And then August 13th, which is a Tuesday, will be the first day for seniors who attend. So before you know it, it's only
back
8
in
weeks
school.
away.
Yeah,
And
That's all I have.
thank you. Student activities?
student, everybody, they're doing their camps, they're going away, they're doing their summer conditioning. Taking it a little easy, but they're not, because everybody's in some 80-game baseball travel league. Driving all over this area. So for now, everyone's good, enjoying the weather and making sure they hydrate because it's hot.
Absolutely. All right, and now we've got public participation. Ms. Donna Hughes?
Donna Hughes, 9360 South Ant Road. Doesn't come to, Thank you for letting me speak. I do want to know, have you gotten a free policy yet? And if not, I'll offer you a suggestion. We are homo sapiens that go to this school. If you do not identify as a homo sapien, such as a dog or a cat, you cannot go to the school. I'm following the science, like they told me for 4 years. I also agree with the bathrooms of the science of male and female. How I like to talk about that would probably not be good in polite society. What is a site manager and what does he or she do to site over? Maybe someone can get back with that. I've been hearing a lot of jobs, opportunities, hiring, salaries. Do you guys have an open credit card? Because I'm not sure where the money's coming from. Teen is doing an excellent job of telling us what we have and where we have it. But it just sounds like it's spending a lot. Is there a place where I can see who all is employed by Bethel? Because you throw these names out and I don't know who you're talking about. Such as, like I said, this person name, talk about this job, I'm going, who is he, who is she, what do they do? And Is there a place on the document that will tell me who's employed and at what salary they are employed? These are things that I should contact somebody, let me know who I can do that with. And the pay and qualifications. But I'm really concerned with the attitude of furries, the attitude of Title IX bathroom. The executive order can only be based on an order, it cannot be amended or changed for an order per the Constitution. Executive orders are not laws. The laws are made by the House and the Senate. The executive board does not make laws. So if you get a thing that says executive order, what's the law, how's it based, how did you amend it, did you change it? If it is, it's not a law. So those are my questions, and just let me know who I should contact for that, or maybe somebody could teach me again. I mean, I know Tina's been trying to teach me, I'm not a good student for her.
We'll keep working at it, Don.
So thank you.
Right, next up is Mr. Luis.
I yield my time.
No, okay. Mr. Edward. I didn't want to, what's your name? Cause I know what that's like.
My name is Edward Lanier. I'm first time ever attending this, so I know I've spoken with Ms. Lestwich on
Yes, sir.
email. Mainly the reason why I am here, and probably gonna be at the worst possible time to ask for an open enrollment waiver other than tonight, but I wouldn't be, a father if I wasn't good for the network. But I don't know, I did send a letter over on the rest of the board, got it, might have just been you, but I'll start with that. My name is Eddie Lanier. My daughter Nevaeh Lanier is currently she finished her third grade year at Bethel Elementary School. She was in Miss Jones's class, and I'm writing this to request an exception for for a waiver for the open enrollment policy here. I share a co-parenting plan with my daughter's mom. We share 50% custody, straight down the middle, everything across the board. She is originally from this area, and she currently lives in Bethel. However, just recently it is brought to my attention that she was planning on moving outside of Bethel Township, actually in the county. Now, in regards to my daughter, I'm asking just for consideration for allowing the way to stay enrolled here at Bethel. She is thriving, and as someone not from Ohio, originally from California, I actually see a lot of what Bethel has to offer, especially from the little community that you guys had. You guys had actually quite a bit of diversity in regards to the residents area. A lot of people, maybe that's the Air Force Base, maybe we should have into the area. But that's definitely something I want my daughter being a part of. It's something I was a part of growing up as a kid. Bethel Elementary has exposure to a lot of different traditions, and with those traditions enhance the curriculum. It's very, very fine schools in this area. She has soared herself here at Bethel this year, actually getting straight A's, participating in choir the entire year, and taking part in Miss Stegner's Amanda school counseling program to help with a little bit of her anxiety. She originally came to Bethel in first grade. She actually transferred schools even then from Forest Elementary to here due to another mom move, and she has been here for the last 3 years. She particularly has loved the teachers that she's had. Mrs. King, who is not at Bethel Elementary anymore, she loved, and Miss Jones was fantastic. Nevaeh is finally hitting her stride here with Miss Stegner's counseling program, the in-school counseling program, and her little bit of extracurriculars. She's really coming out of her shell. She's making tons of new friends and exploring extracurriculars. She tried out in the cheer camps and soccer camps. She might have not liked it, but we try to get her out there in the community to kind of explore her possibilities of what Bethel has to offer. For myself as a parent, I have helped out with the elementary PTA. Really close with Royce. My fiance is actually attended several meetings over the course of several months until she got a new job, where she was helping out, attending PTA meetings, or I would even volunteer at the mom fundraiser handouts and anything Royce needed transport materials. So I have been an active parent in terms of the participation for the medical side, not just sitting, and try to help volunteer not only for field trips, but class parties. I have always been a part of every field trip she's had every single year since she's been here for second and third grade, and class party for Christmas or Thanksgiving, and I know what was ruled on earlier, and although you guys might, stand your ground on that, I just wanted to throw it out there, maybe take into consideration that although it is a policy you guys are wanting to change, I promise you, she is a great kid, and the reason I'm here is mainly because of her. She loves this school. She doesn't want to move. And I'm requesting this on my behalf, just so I can have proper documentation showing that I can prove that she can stay at this school where she has roots and a foundation. She's in a program with Miss Segna that she'll, right now is slated to begin again next year, and I want to have her keep working on it. She gets finishing straight A's, test scores, well above average. Right now she's thriving, and I think a third elementary school move for our family is probably not. I know it's not in her best interest, so. I'm just asking this one time, one final favor. I know it's going away after this. I mean, it would be amazing if this was for your last hurrah, an amazing child. And that's all, but just one little push on that. Just as a student that's already been here for 3 years and is currently technically enrolled as the move is in progress, but we'd like to keep. So thank you for your time.
Can I just ask you a question, just
Yeah.
to clarify, so, your ex-wife, the mother, currently lives in Bethel Township, but she's moving out of Bethel?
Yes,
Correct.
correct.
And you don't
Like
live.
right outside of Bethel, outside of Bethel Elementary School District in Tip City, correct?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I live just right in town, but unfortunately, right out on the outside.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And their last one is Miss Jessica Brands.
Hey, everybody, Jessica Franz, 4285 US Route 40 in Tip City. It's been a while since I've been here. My comments tonight will be addressed to Andy and to Reagan and to Jackie. And I don't know if you've seen the newsletter I put out recently. If you haven't, I can send you that. And if you have any questions, we can go over that. I was asked why to come to this board directly for comment. And that's because you pretty much made it clear, unless I'm missing something, the statement that was made at the last board meeting where you were currently with the bathroom policy or the lack of action on the bathroom policy. So I'm not trying to beat up on the three of you. It may seem like that maybe from the newsletter, but I'm not. I was one of your biggest cheerleaders. I worked alongside Bethel residents to get you guys elected, spent money, spent time, believed in what you told us that you were going to do when you got here. And one of those things that you had ran on was getting a bathroom and locker room safety policy in place when you were sitting here as you are now. And, when you first got elected, it's a lot, believe me, it's a ton on you. I know the responsibility is enormous. And there's a lot to learn, and there is a learning curve. And so I had no problem giving you guys time to get that done. So we're now 6 months in, and the community has worked hard to do the research on your behalf, letting you know what our Attorney General in Ohio's opinion is on this, letting you know where our state rep stands on this. Our Attorney General is willing to go to bat with you guys. He said, one of the issues come up is, well, if we implement a bathroom and locker room safety policy, we're going to lose our federal funding for the lunch money. And we've talked to you, Attorney General, as a committee member of the Ohio Republican Party, board of directors. We've sent those messages to him and his staff, and they have said, no, it's probably empty threats. There is no legal change to Title IX. So unless there is a legal change to Title IX, Biden's executive order doesn't do that. Only the legislature can do that, as you've already heard from members here. So until that's done, it's just a lot of a lot of baseless threats. And that's what kept the old board from taking action. They were told you lose your federal funding, they were told you lose your insurance, anything that the attorney could throw at that old board to keep them in fear of moving forward on the bathroom safety policy. And to be honest with you, I didn't foresee that this board would be making those same decisions. I thought we had elected strong leaders. And that's what my expectation was for you guys to lead and by implementing the policy. And I think the community that got you here, we still have that expectation that you're gonna get that done. We've really taken away every excuse that you could have. I mean, from where I say my perspective, we've taken away all the excuses. We've shown you that our attorney general is willing to fight for you. I mean, if I could get him here, I could get him here to talk to you guys, if that's what you want, or someone from his office. I can get Jenna Powell or someone from her office. Don't take my word for it. There are people that you can talk to. There are other attorneys that aren't progressive leftist attorneys with agendas, like the one that you guys currently have. That can give you a different perspective. So I'm asking you to lead, I'm asking you to do your homework and your own research. One of the fallacies that I was told when I was a board member was y'all had to be in agreement all the time. No, you don't. Each one of you are elected individually in your own capacity to lead in this community, not to be yes men. You need to do your own research. That takes work, that takes time, that takes effort. If you're not up for it, you might want to consider resigning. And to those of you who fear God and you know to do right and you don't do it, it's wrong. It's a sin. And we're all going to give an account. Those of you who are religious and you know God, those of you who don't, you're going to give an account. And you're going to have to look in the mirror. And you're going to have to answer for what you did at this time. You have a wonderful opportunity right now to lead on this, to keep our students safe, to keep our women safe. This issue isn't going away. And other schools in Ohio have already implemented bathroom safety policies. And they're not getting sued. So I'm not saying that they may not get sued. They might. But do what's right. Do what you're elected to do. Don't leave this community having gone to bat for you, having to make excuses for your inaction. I'm not going to make excuses. I mean, from my newsletter, I think I made it pretty clear. I'm done making excuses for you guys. So you need to do what's right. And if you're not up for that, you need to leave. So that's it.
Participation. And now I would like to request a motion to go to executive session for reason number 1, to consider employment compensation. Did I get a motion? Can I get a second? Anyone want to discuss? We can call a roll, please.
Okay, Mrs. Leskowicz?
Yes.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yeah.
Mr. Beep?
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger?
Yep.
So we are going into executive session to 24.
First, we're gonna
Potty break.
Yes.
No business afterwards that we expect, right? Okay.
Agenda is.
Okay, we'll adjourn the meeting, but no other business.
Not that we have planned.
Right.
But the last time I said that. I told you, so I hate to advertise that.
We don't have any planned business, but that could change. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Like me that, yeah.
Stop the share in the meeting.